Hey, welcome everybody. Mr. On Demand, Man with Master Plan, back again with another great video for you guys. And we're going to talk about network routers in this video today. So I'm going to log into my own personal router and kind of show you some of the settings in it and show you why I use the software I use. But I'm also going to talk about other routers and other software because you don't have to use what I'm using, but there's a huge ability to do things when it comes to your network when you actually go into doing your own router. What I mean by that is running a router that is an actual kind of an actual PC, and we're going to dive right into that and I'm going to actually show you some options for that and also talk about some options for off-the-shelf routers that you have also to reload them with different software. We're going to talk about quite a few options with routers. So this video is all about routers and talk about all the options you have when it comes to routers and different things you should consider when getting a router. The other side of that is also, should you buy a store-bought router or should you do a custom router and install your own OS on it? Or should you use the router from your internet provider? Obviously, most of you probably can already figure out that the internet provider's router is not going to be your best option. The best option is going to be for you to use something with a more higher level of security. The internet providers try to sell you extra security. That makes them money. There's no need to spend the extra monthly fees on that type of thing. I'm trying to save you money with this information. So let's go ahead and move forward with what we're going to talk about and go over all of that in this video. So here we are. Do I regret sticking with my ISP router for so long? It's way better to make your own. And this is an article I came across and I thought this is great. I'll use this article along with a bunch of other information to talk about what they're talking about in this router. I'm not going to go through this first paragraph. They're just talking about their personal information, talking about when they got connected and they got an old Linksys they're old now, WRT54G. I had one of those myself and I did use dd-wrt on it also. It was really good back in the day. And the WRT operating systems are really good for some of your store-bought routers that if you want to upgrade them to a more robust operating system. The downside to that is you've got to hope that there's a version of WRT that's compatible with the exact version of your router. So that can be difficult at times. I'm going to talk about the solution I go with after I go over some of the stuff in this article. Since then, it's not been far away from having custom firmwares on my router. So custom firmwares are, you download a new copy of a better operating system to load on your router, and then you upload that firmware instead of the firmware from the manufacturer. So then you end up with a custom firmware that has more features, more options, and does more things. It could be security related or have better load balancing for your network, or just in general, give you way more features. How custom routers improve my home network. So custom routers do improve your home network because you're able to actually customize things in there. Like, for instance, give priority to certain equipment over others, have better quality of service controls that give you better service over your entire network. It lets you control your network and all the devices on your network much easier, plus helps you keep your network from being exploited by hackers as well. So there's a lot of things that come into this type of thing. Now this is talking about dd-wrt, Tomato, Azus WRT, Merlin, Open WRT. So WRT is a theme going through here. And then they talk about pfSense. I run something specifically called pfSense. Not telling you that you have to run that, but there's a reason why I run it. There's a reason why that's the route I went, and I'll go over that here in a little bit in the video. Over the years, the biggest reason for me has been that custom router software is updated far more often than ISP or manufactured firmwares. It's entirely true. I ran a retail TP-Link for several years and then ditched it to go to pfSense after I was running WRT for a while, because the TP-Link had some specific features I wanted, and they were really good years ago. Recently, though, the last several years, not so good. So I am definitely on the bandwagon of running a custom firmware, getting a custom built, making your own custom router, and keeping your network modular. And by modular, I'm going to talk about that too. Separating your Wi-Fi portion from the router. So we'll talk about that as well, because this channel talks about a lot of networking and a lot of stuff. I want to give you the best quality that you can for a very reasonable price. So you're not spending a shit ton of money for, you know, something you're not sure if it's going to be any good. Now, if you're a little bit of a tinkerer at all, or a little techie, you'll be able to do some of these things. Instead of making them EOL or offering 20% discount on any of the affected users, some of those models like OpenWRT compatible, and the security issues that have been fixed in the custom firmware, something that D-Link refuses to do. Exactly. These custom firmwares generally have a lot of updates and will let you control your ports, your Ethernet ports on the routers much more as well. So that's a big deal. Other bonuses include early access to enterprise level features that manufacturers hadn't ported onto consumer level devices. That's a big deal for me. Entry level features, and when I talk about entry level features, there's a lot of them, including dynamic DNS, including just a variety of features that come on routers that when it comes to the firewall security and different things you can do with that, ad blocking and protection in your router, that is far superior than what you can get out of what comes in a lot of these manufactured units. And a lot of the increased security, you have to pay a yearly or monthly fee in order to have it built into the router as well. So that's also a downside. What I run doesn't cost me any monthly fees. These features didn't exist on consumer routers at the time, and enterprise routers were very expensive without having a custom router. I would have found other ways to cope, like scheduling downloads for overnight when nobody was awake to use the bandwidth. That's another thing. If you build a really nice router, you can also build in features that are that do things like caching. What that means is it'll download Windows updates to your router, and then those Windows updates will install directly from your router instead of having for all your machines in your home. And not just Windows updates, but a variety of other, Android updates, whatever they might be. They might go into the cache on the router so that you can actually download them directly. And that makes your updating capabilities across the board on your whole network much, much faster and better. The smartest thing I've done since I started rocking custom routers is to have a fresh, unmodified router around as a backup, because you never know when you'll need it. So this is another thing that I think a lot of people don't really understand the importance of. When a router goes down in your house, it can cause your entire internet to be down for everybody. And if you got a family of 4 or more people like I do, then you end up in a situation where people are hollering at you, hey, the internet's down, we need it fixed, blah, blah, blah. If you have a backup router and you got a problem in your current router, which I had recently, that's one of the things that pushed me to this, is during with the planned power outage, when they shut down my power, it actually caused a little bit of an issue in my router that I had to straighten out. And if I would have had a backup router to plug right in, which I actually did, but I didn't plug it in, I decided to just fix the router that was there. And I thought it was going to be an easy fix, but it ended up taking me several hours to straighten it out. That's a whole story for another video. But long story short is a backup router is important to have. You can just plug that right in and have your network back up and running. And then you can go ahead and take your router and plug it directly into another machine and get it you know, redone or fix whatever the issue might be. So that's an important thing. If you want to explore using your own custom router and cut the ties to your ISP's box, you've got plenty of options. Perhaps not as many options for custom firmware to install on Wi-Fi routers. And see, that's why I don't do custom firmware, because they just said not as many options for custom firmware to install on Wi-Fi routers, since the Wi-Fi drivers for many Wi-Fi 6 and 6E7 chipsets haven't been released. This brings me back to my other point that I was talking about, making your network modular, okay? So making your network modular and keeping the Wi-Fi separate from your main router, and having your main router, which is the brain that does all the routing and all of the security and all of your DNSing and port forwarding for anything you might have on your network, having that separate from your Wi-Fi and having your Wi-Fi just be a separate mesh kit, that, in my opinion, is the better way to go. That way you don't have to worry about your Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi is going to be running no matter what as soon as the internet gets back up and running with the main router. So you keep those two separate things, two separately. The other reason why you keep them two separately is you tend to, in my opinion, you tend to need to upgrade your Wi-Fi far more often than you need to upgrade the main router. If you get a really, really, really solid, really good quality main router, there's not a huge need to upgrade that. So you can run that thing for many years and the software will continue to update. And I mean, you know, you're going to be in good shape. And even if the software gets out of date, you can erase it, reload your operating system on a standard type of x86 type router that I'm speaking about. It gives you more flexibility because you can run more different software to be your router. And you can run, let's see, Wi-Fi router, or build a custom router and use your existing Wi-Fi router in AP mode. So you don't really need to use an existing router in AP mode, but you do need to get, in my opinion, a mesh kit and run that in AP mode. That allows you to run it without any routing capabilities. It just basically is bridged straight through from the main router, and then Wi-Fi goes out. That way those routers aren't being used really to do anything. So there are many custom router firmware projects still active development, some designed for specific routers and those with broadband and Atheros chipsets, some designed for more general use, and with a mix of paid and free to use models. So you got pfSense, OpenWRT, so you got dd-wrt. So OpenWRT, dd-wrt, a lot of the WRT ones are more of your firmware oriented. pfSense, OpenSense are going to be more your operating system ones. And then you got some other ones right down here, ViOS, IPFire, which I have not used. Asus WRT, have not used. But then Tomato and its forks like Fresh Tomato, which I actually have not used either. So you and I, if you're interested in some of these others, you should subscribe to my channel, because I totally plan on loading these and trying them out so that I can give you a fresh view on what I think about them. What I run is pfSense right here, and we'll go into my pfSense and I'll show you some of the stuff about it. Choices between them is up to you, although some are better, and specific routers to install on, generally OpenSense, OpenWRT, are the best bet. And I do agree with that. OpenSense is really, really good. And if you are going to do something like I have, you can actually do the OpenSense option. I think that's a really good option for people. If I were to redo my router today, I would heavily consider using OpenSense, but since I have pfSense running and it's running really well, pfSense does charge for a paid version of their OS, so that's something to be aware of, but you can still definitely run the free version and it runs absolutely great. I'll admit running a custom router at home can seem like a lot of trouble. In addition to the extra skills, you'll need to learn some ISPs block some of the advanced features anyway. So yes, so like for instance, when they're talking about this is talking specifically about internet providers like Xfinity, which on their back end has some security features that are turned on by default. You have to log into your account on their website and actually go in and turn that stuff off. And then you get a full unblocked internet connection through going through. When you're running your own custom router, you want what's called a bridged mode coming through your modem. And that is important to understand. When you're routing from a modem router and then routing that to your own custom router, that's not really what you want. I run on a fiber optic connection that I get a full bridged connection straight through to my router. You'll use ads. Let's see, hardware you use adds another cost and does adding a wireless AP, and there is a risk of security flaws if you don't keep up with updates. The wireless APs, that doesn't matter much as far as worrying about security updates. You need security at the point of your internet coming into your home. That's the main thing. And a wireless AP doesn't do anything but just send your internet out through the wireless, because all the internet connection is getting sent from the main router. Every IP address is being given by the main router, and the main router is securing it. I sit down on my cell phone on my Wi-Fi and it blocks ads, so that when I go onto video games from Google Play Store and try to play them, it doesn't allow an ad to come up on those games. So if you have a router set up with good security, it's going to do things like that. So this risk of security flaws this is not a real thing, in my opinion, in this article. That's a trade-off between more features and flexibility and a lockdown router. There's no trade-off. There's no trade-off. You're much, much better having your Wi-Fi separate from your main router. Much, much better. Because if your Wi-Fi goes down, you can always replace the mesh kit. Get a new mesh kit. And that's 100% going to be my view on it. That's a worthwhile investment, and I'm one of them. So I don't run Wi-Fi off my router. Generally speaking, if you have a large house, like a large 4-bedroom house, a large footprint, 2 stories, whatever it might be, there's a good chance you're going to want a mesh kit. We're going to want multiple wireless, access points throughout the house that extend your wireless signal, so you have a larger wireless signal. So that's just something to be aware of. I haven't used an ISP provided router for probably a decade. Not to say I don't have one on hand, because if there's an issue with my internet connection, it's easy to plug in and let the ISP access it directly. So, yeah, my ISP didn't offer to provide me a router. I told them I wanted a bridge mode from the beginning. I never got a router from them. All I got is their modem, and that's it, which just gives me a pure internet IP address straight from them. So if you can't get that, then this is something to think about in this article. So let's go over what I run. Let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the router that I use, and it's a full-on PC. It's small. It's the size of a router. Let's go ahead and show you this. So this is it. These are all 2.5 gig Ethernet ports on here. It's got USB and power. And if you turn it around, you're going to see HDMI, display port. This is an Intel processor on here, USB 3, and it's got a Type-C connector, and it's got a micro card. Now I'd love to go show you the actual router in my house, but it's in the middle of running, so it's really hard for me to try to show that to you. That's why I tried to show you my NAS server when I had that power issue. So this is a great option, something like this, right? And the reason is so you're going to get this. This has no RAM, no storage. So you got to get an NVMe drive, which those are pretty cheap, and get yourself some RAM. You can go ahead and throw 8 gig of RAM or whatever you want to run in this. And you got yourself a nice setup. So put a 256 gig or even a 128 gig NVMe in this. Now you'll notice little Wi-Fi spots right here. There is a spot inside where you could put a Wi-Fi card, put Wi-Fi antennas on this, and convert this so that it has Wi-Fi if you want it to have Wi-Fi. That really is dependent on what you would like. Now, let's talk about the inside of this. Now, they're not showing you the opened up, but what happens is on the bottom, it opens up. And then inside, you're able to actually put your drive in there. You're able to put all sorts of stuff in here, right? You can put I believe, if I remember correctly, this even has a SATA. So they sell this with different storages too. So right here, you can get it with like right here, 8 gig one. I would go 8 gig 128, and that jumps it up to 229. So you can get it shipped to you. Cool thing about this particular router is you just take a USB flash drive and boom, you load whatever you want on there. So you can go ahead and just put the USB flash drive in. It'll boot from the flash drive. It'll install your OS, and that installs in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. Boom, you got the OS installed on this thing, and you're ready to go. So you can download your copy of OpenSense, pfSense, whatever flavor of router software you want to put in there, and you're ready to rock and roll, literally. So, no and ifs or buts about that. And this will give you, the ability to set this thing up really nice. I haven't used OpenSense for a while. I would actually love to install OpenSense on a machine and go over some of the more recent stuff in it. I wouldn't mind getting another unit like this. Now, all the ports being 2.5 gig, my whole network is mostly 2.5 gig. I have a 2.5 gig network switch as well. If you wanted to go to something that has 10 gig ports on it, the price jumps up a lot. So I would say if you want to do that, your best bet is to still get the 2.5 gig router. Because, I mean, let's face it, most of us aren't going to get more than 2 gig up and down coming from our internet anyway. And then what you have is then you can plug that into a 10 gig switch, which ends up saving you money. So that's a very good option for you to go. But let's go ahead and go into my router so you can see what the pfSense software looks like real quick. So here I am logged into my router. And one thing you're going to see here is this is the pfSense dashboard that comes up, and it tells you, it's going to tell me the version. It's telling me my CPU type, and then if we scroll down here, we're going to see things like temperature, CPU usage, memory usage. Now you'll see I have 16 gig of memory in mine, and I have a 256 gig drive in this. For the caching ability and everything. So this tells you, it's 2 CPUs, 2 cores. This is currently running at 2793 megahertz. And it's 2 gigahertz 4505 Intel Celeron processor. Fully great for a router. I mean, I'm not even coming close to pushing what this router can do. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, let's go ahead and go to interface. Let's go to firewall and PF blocker. So this is something you add to your pfSense. And when you add this to pfSense, this is the PF blocker, which actually does all kinds of blocking, tons of stuff in here. Geo blocking, it can do, it gets updates for its security, gives me reports, etc., etc. So How do you get that? Well, under System, you go down to Package Manager, and this is going to tell me what packages I currently have installed. So these are the installed packages I'm running on my router at the moment. And then it's got available packages that allow you to do all sorts of things. This is something, these are like add-ons or programs from a Play Store. So you can actually install these to do all sorts of different things depending on if you need something special for this software to do. This is something you don't get from retail-based software. You don't have any updates like this. You don't have anything you can add. You can't add in features to the router, which is a huge deal. I mean, if you look at services here, I got, DHCP relay, server relay, forwarding, resolver, dynamic DNS. I mean, all of this stuff in here, as well as under firewall. If you go into these under rules, traffic shaping, virtual IPs, VPN settings, which that's not necessarily a VPN like what you guys are thinking of. That's more of a business VPN of connecting two locations together. ARP-Watch database, DHCP leases, all this interface information, traffic total, traffic graph. I can get all kinds of information here. I can get diagnostics information. There is so much here. So much here that this can do compared to your normal store-bought router. Now, is it more complicated? Yes. It takes a little bit of learning to figure out some of the features. A lot of the stuff will set up through a wizard pretty automatically for you, so you don't have to do a whole lot. And even the PF blocker doesn't require you to really do a whole lot to make it run. PF blocker, that's what's actually blocking the ads on my phone and blocking the through the Wi-Fi and blocking ads in Windows. So what I mean by that is I'm going to actually show you an example right now. Okay, so I'm going to show you this real quick. So we're just going to do a search for something simple like TVs, right? And here's some TVs. Now, if I click on these sponsored links right here, and let's click on one of them, it says my connection's not private, okay? And if I go to advanced, it says Google leadservices.com normally uses encryption to protect your information. Chrome tied to connect to www.googleleadservices.com. This time, the website sent back an unusual and incorrect credential. The reason this came up is because of the blocker, okay, that I have in the router itself, and that's blocking these ads. So I can't click on any of these ads, and it's going to protect me from a lot of these ads that might pop up under not under popular products, but specifically under sponsored links. So if I get sponsored links, it's going to keep those from opening. And we can click on that one and see if that opens. That gets an error as well. So that gives you an idea of the errors that I'm talking about. And that's on purpose, because sponsored links from Google, their ads can have really bad stuff in them that can cause you issues. So that's something to be aware of. And this is why you want to run a better router for your home. Now, if you want to see videos in detail on how to configure and set these routers up, I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on these different operating systems and why I like one or don't like one and which ones are best. Over a period of time, you'll see a video here and there come from me on these different ones, because I'm going to be trying a bunch of them out and basically going over that information. If that's information that's useful to you, or if you like it, let me know down below, and let me know which one you would like to see specifically. Also, I would like to know from you in the future what kind of network videos you would like to see from me. What kind of information are you looking for to help your network run well? and let me know that so I can try to do some testing and push forward some information for you about that and let you know some stuff that might help you out. In the future, you guys make sure you hit a thumbs up and like and subscribe to my channel if this is good content for you. This is Mr. On Demand, and I'm not monetized. I'm not making any money. I'm just doing this out of the goodness of my heart, trying to help you guys out. And I'll see you in the next one. Catch you all later.